If you shower or brush your teeth or try to make your hair look presentable, here's some good news. Dollar Shave Club has a lot of stuff to help you out. Dollar Shave Club delivers everything you need to look, feel, and smell your best. Shampoo, conditioner, body wash, toothpaste, hair gel, even a wipe that leaves your tush feeling tingly clean. All of Dollar Shave Club's products are made with top-shelf ingredients that won't break your budget. You'll feel the difference. Plus, shipping is free with your membership. And here's a great way to try a bunch of Dollar Shave Club's products for just $5. You can get their Daily Essential Starter Set. It comes with Body Cleanser, One Wipe Charlie's, their amazing butt wipes, and their world-famous shave butter. And their best razor, the 6-Blade Executive. Keep the blades coming for a few more bucks a month and add in a shampoo, toothpaste, or anything else you need. Check it all out at dollarshaveclub.com/Chad. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Chad.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The president himself should be extremely uncomfortable about this, not for his son or son-in-law as much as for himself.
So do you think that any of Trump's inner circle's now going to get indicted?
Yes. I don't know who, but I do know that Donald Jr. has told friends he expects to be indicted.
Do you expect he'd be indicted?
Yes.
And what about Jared Kushner?
I don't know about Jared Kushner. I think Jerry Corsi's going to be indicted. I don't know about Roger Stone. I mean, of course, he's been advertising.
Right. He's been basically begging for an indictment.
Right.
Well, of course he's begging for one because it keeps you in the news and how much are you really going to get in trouble and hey, you get a better thing on your Wikipedia page. But I've said Don Jr. all along, that's the one I'm looking at right now when it comes to this. Some way, shape, or form. And I've said I always thought Jared Kushner was a little bit smarter. I don't think he's too worried about it. He's kind of that silent assassin type. But I do think John Jr. is going to get indicted. I don't know if it always leads up to the president. And quite frankly, I think the meeting they may have had back in that day at Trump Towers was no more than we were looking for dirt. They showed up. It ended up being nothing really. Everybody moved on, but we've lied about it. Because we've lied about it and we played a little bit of a game here and there. The reality is the cover up is worse than any kind of crime that would have been there. And now what? You know, I was looking at the Flynn stuff, and it's like it's just one giant black line through everything, so you don't know what's underneath there. Could be some serious stuff. Could be some ugly stuff. Could be nothing, right? Could be nothing. We don't know. We don't know any of this stuff, but I do think that there is going to be some issues when it comes to his family, and that has always been my take on this. The family side of things is going to cause Donald Trump maybe to do something. Protecting his son may have got him in trouble, right? He's a dad. He loves being a dad. I think he'd do anything for his kids. And I think if there was a shot that his kid potentially could go to jail, or Trump comes and says, look, I'll step down to keep my kid out of jail, I think he'd do it. That's the kind of person I think Trump is when it comes to his family. But we're not going to know all of it until it comes out. In the guessing game, it's like it's crazy. It's like watching, the day of the Super Bowl. They start talking about it at 8 a.m, and the kickoff's not till like 5:46 p.m. Eastern Standard Pacific Time, blah, 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 blah. And they play it out over and over and over and over again. I'm surprised we don't have a computer model of way it could go. And 538 saying, here's the computer model. We've run 1,000 and 100 million quadrillion different ways that we think this could go. And 38% says indictment, I'm surprised. Now with Flynn, remember, he wasn't facing a ton of jail time, but he was facing 6 months. Not really a fine that was going to be too big, right? I would think he'd have 10 grand laying around. So does it help or hurt? Or was this a signal to other people, which I think it kind of was a signal to other people, cooperate, and we're going to do everything we can to go easy on you.
What we do know is that Mike Flynn's a liar, and he's a felon. And those defendants will point that out when he testifies against him. They will be right to do so. The president's team have a good case in that sense. My expectation is that Mueller would not give a liar and a felon such a light pass unless the substantial cooperation was documented. So there must have been actual evidence that Flynn steered them to or gave them to help make these cases, because the defendants will, I think, quite rightly say, he's a liar.
Right.
You can't believe him, and we know that he is.
Yeah, well, of course, because everybody in that situation has done something to bring them into a situation like that. Nobody just shows up and goes, hey, I got all kinds of information, even though I'm not being looked at or under any kind of indictment or anything like that. But I just want to just get this off my chest. I have to get this off my chest. If you don't mind, I got to get this off my chest. No, you're in a situation like that because you've done something wrong. And out of that, you may be able to help them do something in trade for you going lenient. But the reality is he was facing 6 months or so and a fine that wasn't too hefty. Still, though, it's a get out of jail free card. Nobody wants to go to jail, right? Nobody's going, if only, right? No, nobody does. So, but how much? Did he flip and give him the big dog, or did he give him a puppy?
When you're appointed to a high job like that, you get a commission signed by the president, signed by the Secretary of State. And the first sentence of it is, know ye that reposing special trust and confidence in the integrity and ability of Mike Flynn. So he violated that trust and confidence, and he showed a complete lack of integrity. And I don't think that should be lost here. I'm not like on the Trump side, but the Trump people will make a very good case in court if and when this comes to trial.
Yeah, if and when. And a lot of it is if and when. If and when it comes to trial, this will be something that any good attorney is going to be able to chop up and just dice this person, slice him and dice him all the way. You didn't want to go to jail, did you? No. So you're willing to say anything. Isn't that true that maybe, just maybe, you played a part in all of this and you've committed something and now you want us to believe you? I don't know if we're going to do that. I don't know if we're going to do that. I don't know if we're going to do that. I don't know if they think that's what would happen, because you're saving your own ass. And in doing so, you're giving something up to somebody in exchange. So how much should we believe you? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Of course, today is the day that HW is being laid to rest. His final resting spot is at Texas A&M, which is interesting. That's where the library is, and that's when they looked around. I don't know if they have some sort of special connection with A&M, but it's very interesting that that's where his daughter Robin is. That's where Barb is buried, and that is going to be his final resting place. And today was more of a personal one than yesterday. And he, it's just this entire situation, just to watch the way that people, have gone about and gone out of their way when it comes to praising him. And it has been a very interesting thing to watch all of this. And it's Nancy Pelosi said something today, and this I found very interesting.
It was lovely and bipartisan and unifying for our country.
So it's only unifying when the Republicans die. Super unifying then. Whew, another one's gone. But it has been. And because I think part of it is this is something that in this day and age that we live in, and is that, back then you could reach across the aisle. You could be bipartisan in a way that it wasn't okay. You weren't being destroyed day in and day out like you would be in social media today. So I think there's a lot more bonds and friendships that were created on both sides of the aisle that there are today. And I still think there's a ton today, but I think a lot of those things that are out there today, you have to keep quiet. Right? You can't just come out and just say those kind of things. You can't say that I was having dinner with or I was speaking with. But it was a very much, some more moving things today that was going on. And it was just listening to the grandchildren and, speak. It's just been very, very interesting because today was more of a family-oriented thing as they said goodbye to him.
We all grew up in awe of my grandfather, a larger-than-life figure who we'd catch fly fishing off the rocks in Maine, talking up where the bluefish were running. He would be the first to host intense horseshoe matchups among family, Secret Service, or any willing head of state. Yeah, that's his George Prescott Bush, the grandson, talking about him. And somebody who I thought gave moving tribute to him today was James Baker, who really just was, I think he painted some more pictures about who he was, because he was a friend as well as somebody who worked for the president, and they remained very tight all the way till the end.
He had a very effective way of letting me know when the discussion was over. He would look at me and he'd say, Baker, if you're so smart, why am I president and you're not?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And as they lay him to rest, I talked to a lot of people over the last couple days, and you know what? Because presidents still have their approval ratings, and he was the most beloved president that was alive right now. And his negativity was the smallest. So the gap between the positive outlook on how people saw HW and the negative, it was the biggest gap among all the presidents that are alive today. And I think you're going to find that too with W. I think this is going to, you watch over the next couple of weeks, people are going to look at W in a much different way just because of the way he's handled himself in all of this. And that's why I say when you look at presidents, it is a time thing. We may look at Trump in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years and say, oh, that was just awful. What were we thinking? We knew it at the time, but we didn't think it was as bad as it really ended up getting. Or we may look back and go, yeah, he got a lot of that stuff right. He did. And a lot of that stuff that happened to him was a bit unfair because we tend to kind of soften over time, at least this generation. I don't know about a younger generation, but I think that is going to happen with W. And I think the other thing that's going to happen, and I may be wrong, but I have a feeling as we look at W going forward, the villain in all of those things is going to be Dick Cheney. I think the movie is the first step, and I think Dick Cheney is totally fine being a villain too. The movie Vice is, if you've not seen the trailers, check it out. It's about Dick Cheney, and Christian Bale plays Dick Cheney. And yeah, that Christian Bale, Batman, all of those things, you do not recognize. Apparently, he had to put on 85 pounds to play Dick Cheney. So he lost like 85 pounds to play the machinist. He put on like 85 pounds here to do this. And that's just insane. But man, he looks just like him. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet us. We got our holiday party tonight. Christmas party. I didn't call it a holiday party. We got a Christmas party tonight I'm going to. And this is a question. What are the do's and don'ts, right, of the what is the etiquette anymore? Because we live in a Me Too world, right? We live in this Me Too world, and we're in radio. Producer Phil, how long have you been in radio?
Oh, good Lord, 20 years.
And you've been to some holiday parties, especially in radio. Well, radio people can drink.
Oh yeah,
and yeah. It's one of those things where when you go to this holiday party, and I want to hear from you guys. You can text the program 323-538-2423, 323-538 Chad, and you can also tweet at us at Chad Benson Show. What are some do's and don'ts of the holiday party? And we've got a little bit of rain here today. It's going to be on the rooftop. It's going to be very interesting to see how this goes. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. Hey, Medicare open enrollment's right here. It's happening right now. You're trying to navigate through all of these things. You may need a little help. That's where AMAC comes in. You can join for free. No credit card required. It's 1 year free membership. It's on me. And AMAC is working with Senior Resource Network. They're going to help you get a dedicated agent to help you navigate through all of that. On top of that, they're politically advocating on your behalf for amazing things like, I don't know, Social Security, immigration reform, things of that nature. That's the things they're doing for you, and they've got benefits too numerous to mention. But how about this? Retail, restaurant, hotel, travel discounts, 40% off movie tickets, up to 40% off Disneyland, Disney World, SeaWorld, Legoland, things of that nature. They are amazing, and it is a year free on me. amac.us/Chad. amac.us/Chad. 1 year free. They don't even want your credit card. Sign up. It's easy. amac.us/Chad. AMAC is better for you, better for America. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter. ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Welcome to the Alt-Middle, where solutions live and ignorance dies. The Chad Benson Show.
President Trump found it difficult to get congressional funding for a border wall back when his party controlled both chambers of Congress. But it's going to be an even bigger challenge now the Democrats are preparing to take control of the House. Leader Nancy Pelosi says she's opposed to using taxpayer dollars for a wall she considers
immoral, ineffective, inexpensive.
Now, I'm going to say this. Okay, this part right here.
Immoral.
Yeah, I don't get that. right? Building a wall is not immoral, right? Now, this part.
Ineffective.
I might go with that. I might go with ineffective because that, to me, is something I keep telling everybody, that it's ineffective because it's not going to work. You want to know how I know it's not going to work? Because it's just not going to work. It's not. You want to know why? Because listen to this.
Apparently, a 19-year-old pregnant woman from Honduras by the name of Mary Uri Hernandez was arrested after she entered Imperial Beach, California. She apparently climbed over the border wall from Tijuana. As soon as she was down on the ground in American soil, she was arrested.
Now, think about this. Let's listen to that again. What was she, kids?
Hernandez was arrested after she entered Imperial Beach, California. She apparently climbed over the border wall.
Climbed over the border wall. So, she climbed over the border wall. So this?
Immoral.
No, I don't think so.
Ineffective.
That? Yeah, I absolutely think so. Because she's pregnant and she had her child here. So she climbed over her border wall while she was pregnant and is excited to have her kid here. And we'll touch on that a little bit later. But I'm just saying, when it comes to this, immoral, I don't find it to be. Ineffective, yes. I'm sorry, Nancy. Please continue.
Inexpensive.
Yeah, probably.
And the president said he promised it. He also promised Mexico would pay for it.
President Trump has asked Congress for $5 billion.
And they said no. Is it expensive compared to what? The crap that they spend money on? Probably not. Is it ineffective? Yes, I say so. Other people don't. It's more a symbol than anything else. But he did promise Mexico was going to pay for it. How about if we GoFunded me a wall? What if we, because I saw that Greece is GoFunding. Did you see Greece is GoFunding their warships? That's when you know things are bad. The Greeks are GoFunding their warship. I'm just saying. I'm putting it out there. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love to do it. We got enough time. Let's have a little fun, kids. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here is your urban word of the day. Oh, my goodness. All right, here's your urban word of the day.
It's time for the urban word of the day, fam.
What? Right now?
Time to get a little more hip on the streets.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
Urban word of the day.
This just went left. Go left. Going left. What's it mean? Something falls apart. Man, that went left quick. Yeah, that went left quick. Conversation, man, I got to go left. When something falls apart, in England we call it pear-shaped. Go left is your urban word of the day.
Thank you for saying that in dated urban slang so that I'll understand you. That there was the urban word of the day. We damn stretched your cranium.
Hey, Nancy, I got to ask you a question. What do you think of, I don't know, Donald Trump?
Immoral.
What do you think of Phil?
Immoral.
What do you think of Chad?
Ineffective.
Well, that's just not fun. You're not a nice person, Nancy. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Hey, the story of the year straight ahead.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Woo! That's the train. Bush 4141 went to his final resting place today in Texas. Went from Spring, Texas, where they had the ceremony, and then they took it via train to College Park, Texas A&M, where his daughter and his wife are buried. And yesterday I got a lot of flack because I said, look, I think Trump did a pretty okay job. I think because the guy isn't liked, and rightly so, by any of these people, right? And vice versa. He's got a lot of reason not to like these people. And I think the way that he handled himself for Trump. Remember, look, I like some of the stuff Trump does, but at times he's a child. And he throws fits, and that's evident. I do like some of the stuff he does, but I think he did a pretty damn good job with all of this. And, he didn't tweet insanity for like 72 hours.
The memorial was a beautiful tribute to President Bush's extraordinary life and a noble legacy to public service. He was a wonderful man. We will always remember this great statesman and beloved American patriot.
Yeah, and he was a wonderful man. And I'm telling you, somebody needs to go get that movie made. The movie is that's a movie right there. That is a movie. Go get that thing made. Go get it did. You know what I'm saying? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Every once in a while, a story comes across our desk that makes our hearts smile, makes us tingle inside. Tingly, tingly, tingly. This one comes from the beautiful city of Visalia, California. A gorgeous little town nestled in the middle of godforsaken nowhere between Bakersfield and Fresno. Oh, kids, they say don't run with scissors. Well, this teacher did, and wait till you hear this.
Corey, high school classes started off as usual this morning, but around 10 a.m. you could hear shrieking coming from one of the classrooms as terrified students came running out. It's first period inside Margaret Giesinger's chemistry class, and a bizarre chain of events is about to take off. Students say the teacher came into class with a pair of scissors, declaring it was haircut day. You're not done!
So if you see the video, so she brings them all up there, and she tells them, hey, it's haircut day, right? Like, so it's haircut day. Now, the student talking here, I think, is in witness protection program, or he is got the deepest voice of all time.
We think she's going to try to be funny and be like, oh, did you really think I was going to cut his hair? But she did cut a hair off, and she started singing the Star Spangled Banner, and she was singing it extremely loudly as she, like, ceremoniously tossed this chunk of hair behind her.
So picture this, right? You're going to school, you're 16, 17 years old, you're sitting down in class, crazy teacher comes in and says, hey, guess what? It's haircut day, right? And everybody thinks they're a kid, right? She's kidding. Everybody thinks she's kidding. So a kid goes and sits up there. She's got scissors. Oh, it was haircut day.
We distorted the student's voice to protect his identity. He says he was sitting in the back of the classroom in horror and ran to the main office for help.
I hope I never have to see her at that school again, because I know for a fact that I will never be able to see her as a respectable authority figure in my life.
Oh, and by the way, and this is so California, apparently earlier in the week, she had issues like this, similarly, not with the haircut, but freaking out over stuff. That happened earlier in the week. Yeah. That's she's insane. She's got problems. But here's the thing. She's in California, and they've got, yes. Are you ready for this, kids? That union's going to protect her. She's going to go off, and she's going to be in a room where she doesn't do anything anymore, so she can't be around kids, which is probably good, and they'll continue to pay her. And I don't know, by the sound of it, when you see her, she's singing the Star Spangled Banner. She's trying to cut people's hair. You know what I was impressed with, though? And I mean, I'm 16 or 17 years old, and a teacher comes at me with scissors. Boy or girl, how they didn't try to defend themselves, and because you could have knocked her out. It sounds horrible. But if somebody comes at me with scissors, I might think I need to defend myself. Luckily, they all ran, and of course, they filmed as they ran, and eventually it all went away.
College of the Sequoias police have since arrested Giesinger on suspicion of corporal injury to a child. She's being held on a $100,000 bail.
Yeah, she'll, by the sounds of it, and I'm just saying by the sounds of it, I think she's got some issues. But everybody survived, which makes it, of course, for all of us, a Christmas miracle.
The markets opened this morning after being closed Wednesday for the National Day of Mourning. It was a break many investors were probably relieved to get after stocks went into a tailspin on Tuesday. They'll have plenty to focus on, mainly signs that the U.S. and China really are working to avoid an all-out trade war. Yesterday, President Trump tweeting that he believes President Xi will work with him to make that happen. Daria Albinger, ABC News.
Yeah. The markets are down. It's not a great thing. There's some issues there. Trump, the biggest issues are going to come from Trump. I mean, I do still think his son is playing a part in this in some way, shape, or form. But it's the noise, the whisper. When you're not winning, the noise gets louder. Mike McCarthy got fired this week after losing to the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday, and the Packers are essentially out of the playoffs with arguably the best quarterback in the league right now and maybe one of the top 5 quarterbacks of all time. And why? Because they're not winning. And even though they didn't really like each other, when they were winning, it was a whisper. It wasn't a roar. And that's the thing. When the marketplace and the economy slows down, other things start to add up.
When the stock market is up, President Trump takes credit. When the stock market's down, he's usually silent. The president has often been quick to frame gains on Wall Street as a successful result of his economic policies. This week, the president's not weighing in on the sharp drops in the market. Instead, he's trying to project optimism about reaching a long-term trade agreement with China. But it's uncertainty about that deal actually being finalized that has Wall Street anxious.
Yeah. And, because he is tariff man. Right? That's what he called himself. And these are the things that you've got to watch out for if you're the president. You walk a fine line. And the one thing about the economy, and we talk about it a lot, is the psychology of stuff. How do people feel? When people feel like things are good, how more confident you are, when you think you can do something. When in mass we feel things are good, that's a great thing. Consumer index, confidence index inside of what we're doing. And the psychology can easily just change. And that is something that would really hurt the president. And it would hurt all of us because I don't know about you, but I like when the economy's good.
Is it mind over money when it comes to holiday shopping? Professor Richard Klein with Cleveland State University thinks so.
Many people buy things without thinking about it.
Dr. Elad Greneau, dean of the College of Business and Economics at Ashland University, says stores set up displays with pricey items right at eye level.
And if it's a big pile of things and you don't have time, then you'll buy the expensive stuff.
So if you want bargains, you're going to have to do some work. The expert suggests spending more time sifting through clearance racks and tables where things aren't necessarily going to be organized.
Yeah, psychology of it all. It's the psychology of it all. The psychology of it all. I'm telling you, it's so important. And I don't think people understand that. It's like anything else. When you feel that you can do something, you do it with confidence. How much, even if, because... And this is anything, sports, going on stage, talking to people, whatever it is, asking a girl out or whatever. It's when you have the confidence to do it, you ooze it. It feels, you feel like you can do anything. And if you get the country feeling like you can do anything and the confidence is there, that's great for all of us. And the psychology of it all is what matters. The mind side of it is really important. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us and you could text the program. Somebody tweets in, as usual, you're short on facts and common sense. What is immoral is the amount of legals at the border who'll be used for sex or drugs. Check out Borderland Beat and how they're treated by the cartels. Ineffective is the possible old section of the wall before you spout info. And third, hell of a lot of cheaper than supporting them here with anchor babies and welfare. Fantastic. Yeah. It disgusts me that I'm on his radio station. Oh, solid. Look, go ahead, build your wall. I got no problem with it. Give him $5 billion. But if you think that's going to stop people from coming here, you're fooling yourself. I've been not only to the border, I've been down to several borders. I grew up in Southern California, San Diego, been to the border, lived at the border. Currently find myself in Phoenix, right? I pass by the border all the time, going from San Diego to Yuma to see my kids. My kid. I don't have kids. And what happens? I see nothing. I see a wall, a fence, and some sand. I've been on the Rio Grande. You think that drug mules and cartels are going to stop because we built a wall? More stuff is pouring through the ports, the mail, and overstayed visas. But if you walk 2,000 damn miles and think for an instant that you got there and there's a 20-foot wall and that's the only thing stopping you, you are kidding yourself. Kidding yourself. They'll get their ass over there if they want to. Nobody walks that far and tries that hard and then gets to a point where they're like, can't do it now. There's a 20-foot wall. They'll figure it out. Absolutely they will. You really want to stop people from coming here? Hold the people who hire them accountable. There you go. 30 days. Your place is closed the first time. 60 days the second. 3 times there's a strike. Bye-bye. Third strike, you're out. If you're really serious about it. But neither side is serious about it. Neither side. Because it benefits them both. It does. But if you think a wall is going to solve all of the problems, I say go ahead. It's all political, but the facts are the facts. People are still going to come here. When I was down right there on the Rio Grande, they had a giant wall, 18 feet tall. They said, you want to see our 19-foot ladders? We have thousands of them. Build it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Text the program. Do's and don'ts of the holiday season party, as I'm going to a holiday party tonight, a Christmas party. And, what are the do's and don'ts? Don't dance. Why would I not want to dance? Why would I not want to dance? Why? I like to dance. I'm going to do a little dancing tonight because I can boogie, right? But I don't drink, so I don't have to worry about being crazy. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. A lot of stuff still to get to. Golden Globes. Guess what? They announced them today. I don't think I've seen any of them. And I really, I'm prideful in that. Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
A massive shocker on the TV side.
Is this what freedom looks like?
Hulu's The Handmaid's Tale, which won Best Drama at the Globes earlier this year, as well as the Emmys, not nominated for Best Drama this time around. Also absent, NBC's This Is Us, after star Sterling K. Brown was the most recent Golden Globe winner for Best Drama Actor. Both of those absences in the Best Drama category made room for the critically acclaimed but little buzzed about Netflix series Bodyguard and FX's Pose. And the critically acclaimed FX series Atlanta didn't get a Best Comedy nomination, while there was a surprising amount of love for Jim Carrey's dark comedy Kidding and Netflix's The Kaminsky Method.
All right, so let's take a look at some of this. Best Motion Picture Drama. I like this because they always have the comedy, which usually there's a comedy in there that's not a comedy, or several of them. So drama, I've seen Black Panther, Bohemian Rhapsody. I want to see The Black Klansman. If Beale Street Could Talk and A Star Is Born, I've not seen. All right, not seen. Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy. Vice, I do want to see that. That looks great. It does. Vice looks, if you don't know what Vice is, it is Christian Bale who put on some 85 pounds or so to play Dick Cheney about the vice president and kind of how he was the mastermind of everything. And I think going forward, history will remember George W. Bush in a much different way, and Dick Cheney, who I think enjoys playing the villain, will embrace this. But that, I didn't know that was a musical or comedy. Mary Poppins Returns, Green Book, The Favorite, and Crazy Rich Asians. I've not seen one of those. Best Motion Picture Animated. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Not seen it. It's not out yet. Ralph Breaks the Internet. Not seen it. Mirai. Not seen it. Isle of Dogs. Not seen it. Incredibles 2. I have seen that. And I will probably go see that one. At least one or two of those. So, it's the usual stuff, but God, a couple of them. FX, once again, FX and a lot of these other, small groups are what were considered small comparatively, are cleaning up compared to what would be considered broadcast television. because they can do so much more. They're free to do so many other things that broadcast TV can't do, and it's tough. It really is for them, and they're almost going to have to get to a point where they have two categories: broadcast television, cable television, and or subscription services. And speaking of that, I don't know. I was never a fan, but I get that people are.
She's mad because I know today's her laundry day, and that means she's wearing her old lady underpants. I can check that for you.
I just can't believe that you think that you and Chandler know me and Rachel better than we know you.
Well, we do. You can only eat Tic Tacs and even numbers. Yeah, what's that about? And you, Ross, I believe if you check Rachel's bag, you will find a half-eaten box of cookies in there. You're good.
Netflix announced that they were taking Friends off starting January 1st. People flipped. Netflix scrambled and came up with a number between $80 and $100 million to keep it through, I guess, next year. So I'm trying to think to myself, because there's like 230 episodes. That's a lot. I wonder what they get. They've got to get something like Merry Christmas to You. But that's a huge amount of money for a year. And starting next year, Time Warner, AT&T, Disney, they're all going to be rolling out their own subscription services because they own all of these titles and all of these shows and movies. So if you're going to want to see Disney stuff, you're pretty much got to get the Disney thing. And so what used to be cut the cable is, we cut the cable, but then I had to add on 20 things to get all of the stuff I got in cable. Next thing you know, you look up, it's a little bit more expensive than you thought. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. We're asking you, people are typing in tonight, writing in, texting, the do's and don'ts of holiday Christmas parties as they start to kind of happen. And this is my second one tonight. I was with clients the other night, and tonight is going to be kind of a full board just for the employees. And it's been a while since I hung out with an employee that wasn't Winston, the big lizard of mine. Our party was a little crazy and chaotic last year. This year it's going to be different because I'm going to be with humans. So Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
When the history books are written, they will say that George H.W. Bush was a great president of the United States, a diplomat of unmatched skill, a commander-in-chief of formidable accomplishment, and a gentleman who executed the duties of his office with dignity and honor.
Yes. HW 41 laid to rest today in a yesterday in the last couple of days we've had moving tributes, and some of it I think was a shot at the current president, the way that especially the media fawned over HW, and as we all know, they weren't really big fans of his back then. And man, you look at it and you say, wow, how much of that was real and heartfelt? And I think it was, because I think time heals a lot of stuff. Right? Time does. And I think the people look back on him and they take him not just for what he was as president, but they look at the entire body of his life. And he was just a genuinely good dude, a good guy, a person who had great moral fiber, who walked the walk, talked the talk, did the things that he did the way that he wanted to do, the way he thought it was right to do. And in a leadership position, you're not always going to make everybody happy. You're not. But I think some of it was a lot of this fawning over. It was sometimes it was on, extra thick, because I think it's a great way to take a shot at the sitting president. I was reading a lot of articles today. Is it going to be like this when Trump dies? Probably not. Probably not. But I do think that, when the time comes, and it's going to come because we're human beings and Father Time is undefeated, nobody gets out of here alive. when it does come, there will be the current president at the time and the president still alive that will show up and pay their respects. And the media, I'm sure at times, will talk about the things that he did good and try not to put him on blast. I think on social media they probably will. But that will be interesting to see the way that is handled. But it was, I think, today the fitting way that it happened when they took him from Spring, Texas, which is where he flew into, then onto his final resting place. And the way that they did that, I thought was very classy. It was Bush 4141 was the train. They had the windows. You could see the casket in there, and it went there to Texas A&M College Park where he was laid to rest. And it is again, the life of the body of work, if you will, of his life was just incredible. It's a movie. That's what I keep telling everybody. There is a movie right there. It's right there. Right there. From being shot down in World War II to marrying his high school sweetheart or what a college sweetheart, whatever she was it 73 years they were married? To CIA director, vice president, and president, and then all the things he did afterwards. Yeah, that is a movie. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. So the wall, people are arguing with me over the wall because I'm like, build the wall. I really don't care. Nancy Pelosi came out today and talking about, the wall and, whether or not it's going to get, built and how much tougher it is going to be to get it built. And I think it's going to be absolutely tough to get this thing built, especially when you look at what we have right now, which is a bunch of people who don't really want to do anything, and they're not going to really get this thing done for this president at this moment in time. But I joked about it. People got mad. It is what it is. But the reality is the wall, I think, is only going to do so much. It's going to be a symbol as much as anything else. Because as long as there is opportunity here, why would anybody stop coming here if they think this is the golden goose? And remember, Trump's only going to be here for so long. For all of you out there, he's not king and he's not going to be here forever. So times will change. And as we know, politics, they don't like to change the way they do things, especially if it benefits both sides. But when people talk about the wall and how this could potentially be the end-all to be-all, I remind them of this story here, and I always will. Listen to this.
Apparently, a 19-year-old pregnant woman from Honduras by the name of Mary Uri Hernandez was arrested after she entered Imperial Beach, California. She apparently climbed over the border wall from Tijuana. As soon as she was down on the ground in American soil, she was arrested. A couple of days later, apparently, she gave birth to an American citizen, and she said that her goal was to join her family in Columbus, Ohio, and giving birth on U.S. soil was a big reward for the long journey in the caravan.
Which pisses me off, because it shouldn't be. This is where birthright citizenship comes in. If a person is here legally, they don't have to be a citizen, but they're here legally. They are contracting with a company that has flown them over there, wherever it is in the country, and they're here legally. They've got a green card. If they've bought a home and they've got a residency and a green card here, if they've bought a business, if they're here legally and their child was born here, I got zero problems with that child being a citizen. But specifically to come here is what pisses people off. People like me. I can be as empathetic as anybody. And this is just one person, and people, both sides pick one thing out where they can tug at heartstrings or anger people. But I think this is one thing where we can address and say, look, this is not right. They're flaunting. Like if there was a referee, they'd throw a flag and say, personal foul, unsportsmanlike conduct, because it's a flaunt right to us. It is.
That is the anchor baby problem, and President Trump has been right about this. He diagnosed automatic birthright citizenship as one of the biggest magnets and incentives to come here and break the law, and he's been asking Congress to do something about it. You can build 50-foot, 100-foot walls all along the 2,000 miles of the southern border, but if you don't turn off these magnets, it's going to result in a continued flow, and we're going to see these caravans over and over and over again.
Yeah, it is. And you shouldn't reward, because what people don't see is, so the baby comes here, right? So they come here and they have a baby. And I don't care where it's from. I don't care if you're from Russia. I don't care if you're from Sweden. I don't care wherever you're from, because this happens just as much with rich Korean and Chinese, Russians who all want that passport, and they come here and they do this. I don't care where it's from and how it's done. once they're here, they're able to sponsor and bring more people here. And once they sponsor and bring more people here, the reality is they get a lot of government help. And that child who's done nothing but be born, that's it, didn't do anything wrong. It's frustrating for all of us. It is. It is absolutely frustrating for all of us. We've got to figure this out. But if you really are serious, I tell everybody, you don't need a wall, right? You need no wall. If you're really serious, hold the people that hire these people accountable. Hold the people who hire these people, right? I don't care who they are. If you're really serious, people that come here illegally, you hold the owners of businesses, homeowners, everybody accountable. And watch what happens. If the fear is you're going to lose your business because of hiring practices, you'll change your way. And when the money dries up, the opportunity dries up, people will go home. People will. They absolutely will. But are we going to do that? No. No, we're not. And is Congress going to fix anything? No, they're not. They're not going to do any of those things. Why should they? Why? Why should they do anything? Because as far as they're concerned, it's not broke. It benefits them both. It's a way to raise money. It's a way to keep them in the front pages arguing and fighting over this. They want no part of any of an actual fix. And if there is going to be a fix to come, they're kind of hoping they don't really have to do anything and that the courts will decide this, because if the courts have to decide this, that means they're off the hook of being the bad guy and bad gal.
It's not just women from South and Central America who are abusing this policy. It's people from Kenya or Russia or Korea who wait until they're 8.5 months pregnant to board a plane to get here. So it's not just something that affects the border. It's not just something that a wall will fix. And unfortunately, people in both parties don't want to address it.
Nope. And they're not going to. Because why do you address something because this is part of their opportunity. And if we were to hold them accountable, that'd be like us building a wall around their money and their opportunities. They don't want any part of that. They want no part of any of that. No. Please, don't do that. No. It's the golden goose. And if we're going to do immigration right, it's got to be a three-pronged attack. Our ports, our visa programs, and our southern border. And it's got to be a three-pronged attack that's actually got some teeth to it, that we enforce it. Because we could come out with the greatest, most stringent, most hard-line, hard-ass immigration bill in the history of bills, but if we don't enforce it, then who cares? We'll be like Neville Chamberlain, right? Trying to appease the Germans. Wasn't worth the paper it was written on. It's the same thing. Until we start to enforce, doesn't matter. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at me. I'm going to a holiday party tonight. Now, Phil, a couple of years ago at the holiday party out there at Radio America, I saw you dancing, having some fun.
Oh, yes, I was.
Yeah, he was. He was on the table dancing. It was great. That's fun. They don't invite me out there. I don't know why. I don't drink, so people say, well, don't get drunk. That's always the first thing. Don't get drunk. But there are some holiday parties, too, man. I've been to a few holiday parties. I've been to a few parties where, as brokers, when I was in the financial world, we had a couple holiday parties, and they were insane. Like nuts. And talk about, like, opulence. I went to one holiday party that was just like, you wandered into a place. It was... We had Big Bad Voodoo Daddy was our musical guest for the night. Now, how cool is that? Secondly, and this was amazing, the people that own the Wet Seal, which is a big clothing store, was at one time, they rented out the house to us, and they had an actual lazy river through their entire house. It was amazing. It was incredible. But, man, brokers, crazy, lunacy. Definitely not a Me Too kind of movement there. It was uncomfortable. You had to be dressed up in a suit and tie. Tonight, I'm in T-shirt and jeans. 323-538-2423. What's your advice on navigating the holiday Christmas functions? Butcher Box is great. Speaking of the Golden Goose, hey, if they had the Golden Goose, they would raise it right. It'd be free range, right? It'd be organic. It would be. It would absolutely be. Butcher Box is incredible. This is like the gift that literally keeps on giving the whole year. Less than $6 a meal for a month's worth of meals. They're going to be coming straight to you, and you're going to be gobbling it up, and it is everything. It is the best steaks, burgers, bacon. I'll talk about the bacon in a sec. Pork. Oh, my goodness. Like you could not believe. It is awesome. Awesome. Now, you say to yourself, well, how good is it really? Amazing. You're not going to find cuts or premium meat like this anywhere else. You're not getting this at the store. You're not going down to your local grocery store going, I would like to have that. And they're like, no, they don't have that. Sorry, get out of here. We don't even know who you are. Butcher Box, it's for you. They're bringing home the bacon, and they're bringing it to you. You don't have to go out. Honey, I don't have to go out to get the bacon. The bacon's coming to us. That's what's amazing. This is what they're doing for my listeners right now. Sign up right now. $40 off, plus they're throwing in bacon. Boom. Sweeten that deal. Throw in a little bacon right there. $40 off. $20 off the first box. $20 off the second box. And bacon coming right to you. ButcherBox.com/Chad. ButcherBox.com/Chad. Get the bacon, baby. Bring home the bacon. Not the bagels, but the bacon. ButcherBox.com/Chad. It's the Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
Ginger Eason says she didn't know she was breaking the law when she collected absentee ballots in Bladen County, North Carolina, and then turned them over to her boss.
I was helping McCrae.
McCrae Dowless, a convicted criminal and Republican political operative, is now suspected of fraud in rounding up signed blank absentee ballots and casting them for GOP candidate Mark Harris. Harris has declared victory after a preliminary count showed he won the race against Democrat Dan McCready by just 905 votes, but the state refuses to certify the results as the investigation into possible fraud deepens.
Yes, it is deepening, and this looks like fraud all over the place. They were sending these people out who were getting absentee ballots. Some of them weren't filled out. They were witnesses, and all of these, they signed as witnesses. It smells. And it's funny because when we scream voter fraud all the time, what do we hear? Democrats, everybody here is legal, is voting. That's all that's going on. Millions and millions and all of these things. And here it is. This thing is staring us right in the face. It is just, it's insane. So they were going out and these people that were doing this, they had no idea what they were doing. They were taking him and they were telling him, don't seal your absentee ballot. And if they weren't filled out, they would fill it out for them. And if they were filled out and they had voted for the Democrat, apparently they were given to somebody else who then in turn tossed it away.
I feel bad now that I know that it wasn't legal, but I did at the time. I didn't know.
Yeah, you know now because you're going to be in a lot of trouble potentially. You are, and this guy, it's just screaming and yelling. It is election fraud, and the guy that lost has now rescinded. And by the way, this is the Republican-run legislator that is saying, "Look, this smells uber fishy here. Just really, really, this is not a good thing here. It's not. We need to figure this out." And yeah, because it screams of fraud. And when you hire some dirty people, they're going to do some dirty things. It happens. And what did I say? Whenever there's usually voter fraud, where is it? It's in small areas where a swing of 500 to 1,000 or 200 or 100 can be really felt. Rarely is it a national thing where millions upon millions of people vote. It's usually small. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. It's your Twitter. Many of you are chiming in on my holiday party tonight. What you should and shouldn't do. Don't fax a picture of your butt. That's what one person said. Remember that back in the day? You'd put people in the copy machine and stuff like that? Chad, that's just wrong. It's very early 2000s, late 1990s kind of humor. Don't look. I don't even know if we have a copy machine, but probably not where we're going tonight. I don't think we have one. Hey, the industry of hate is real. Matt Taibbi, Rolling Stone, award-winning journalist, got a new book out called Hate Inc. Talks about the media and how the media fuels a lot of this hate because it is, as I said, an industry in itself. We're going to talk to him straight ahead. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
You know, we talk about this a lot when it comes to the world that we live in, and this guy's putting it out there for us. Rolling Stone magazine, you might have heard of this guy, writes for them. He's got it going on, got a big following and an influencer on the old social media world, and he's got a book now that's out there, and he's going to tell us how you can go and find it, but it's very interesting. It's called Hate Inc., and the media loves hate. Matt Taibbi joins us, and first and foremost, everybody, Matt, just tell everybody where they can find the book, because I've searched for it and I got it, and it's amazing as I go through it and look at it, because everything you talk about is so spot on in this world we live in.
Oh, well, thanks, Chad. No, I'm actually serializing the book online so that you can find it at taibbi.substack.com, and it's going to come out in print early next year.
So let's talk about this, because the media, hate is, I say this all the time, Matt, hate is big business. Anytime there's conflict, it's big business. And why would anybody want to kill the golden goose?
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. And I started to be troubled by this, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. I've been covering presidential elections for a long time. And I think one of the things that audiences don't realize is that the sort of financial model of how our business works depends upon us continually providing content that we know our audiences are going to like. And the easiest way to do that is just to wind them up about something and keep winding them up. And that is, sort of in the post-Crossfire era, this has become the entire business model for most of the news. We show you stuff that we know is going to make you angry, and then we keep showing it to you over and over again.
Yeah, because it's and you know what, I was listening to Steven Pinker the other day talking about it. The fact is that nowadays you have to be louder, you have to be bolder, you have to be bigger to get anybody's attention, and nobody wants to lose their little piece of that pie, and that's where hate comes in. Because let's if we're honest, like if you make your living in poverty, you don't want poverty to go completely away. And it sounds weird to say that, but that's where your living is. And hate's the same way with media. We like conflict because it's more interesting. We stop and we turn, Matt, and we look and say, oh, my goodness, there's a car crash. We turn. We do the same thing with hate. And it's crazy that we're this way. How did we get here?
I think, a lot of it had to do with the sort of atomization of the news business that started in the late 80s and early 90s. When I was growing up, the news landscape was basically 3 networks and a couple of newspaper chains and a few big dailies. And they were all basically reporting the same news. And the financial formula back then was news for everybody. You didn't try to consciously go after one political side or another. And then what happened was, with the advent of cable news, I think was a big thing. You had stations like Fox. They started to figure out that it was really easy to make money just by targeting a slice of the population as opposed to the whole population. And that was a way to guarantee a certain portion of the revenue. And they were pioneers in that, but now it's all over the business. Now everybody does it. And it's essentially the same business model, but it's replicated across the spectrum, whether it's MSNBC or Fox or whoever, I think.
Yeah, it's crazy. Talking to Matt Taibbi, award-winning columnist for Rolling Stone. His new book is serialized called Hate Inc., How and Why the Press Make Us Hate One Another. And, one of the things you talk about and the thing that we scream about all the time is how much do you really want to be informed? Because nowadays we can pick and choose what we want to read, what we want to see, what we want to hear. We're looking for affirmation, not information. And I think that doesn't help us because people aren't serious about trying to find out the truth. What they want is they want people to affirm their beliefs. So they sit in these echo chambers and they don't want to hear anything else.
Right, and this has been made easier by the way social media is set up. You think about how, for instance, the news feed on Facebook works. The algorithm is designed to sort of look at your past searching history and your past reading history and figure out what news stories you're likely to agree with and which ones you're not going to agree with. And so it sends you stuff that it knows in advance is probably going to make you happy, probably going to affirm your belief system, just as you said. And what it doesn't do is it doesn't challenge you. And that happens both at the distribution level and at the level of actual news agencies, which try very, very hard not to challenge their own audiences. They don't cover stories that they know are going to make their own audiences uncomfortable. And that is the result of that is that we all just sort of hate each other more because we're always reading about how other people are terrible.
Yeah, and that's it's like we live in this world of where everybody's kind of bubble wrapped in some ways, but at the same ways, we're more angry with one another. And I sit back and I go, but part of that's on us. We can't just blame the media. That's what we like. I mean, if you follow sports, what has ESPN and everybody else done? They've thrown out hey, here's Sports Center. And now what we do is we find two guys with opposing opinions that are loud and somewhat entertaining. We put them together. We throw them out there and we let them argue amongst ourselves because we kind of like that reality TV screaming and yelling. And that's part of us because we keep buying it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's funny that you mentioned sports because I think that was one of the things I noticed as a campaign reporter over the years is that we were more and more often we were copying the format of sports reporting when we covered politics. Like we were basically encouraging the political audiences to consume the news as sports and to root instead of think. If you look at shows like the election night coverage on basically any cable channel, they're copying the live variety format of shows like NFL Sunday Countdown. There's always an anchor at one side of the set, and then there's a bunch of people arguing, just as you say. And that's the easiest way to eat up time. And we're always sort of dividing up audiences into one group and another. And that's the easiest way to create content, right? Rather than research or do hard hitting investigative journalism, we just put people on air and have them argue about stuff, and it costs less and it makes money. And you're right, absolutely right. Audiences love it. Yeah, audience love it. And it's crazy. And I've always said to myself, do people really like that? But they do. And you said it is cheap. It's easy to put, let's put four people that are diametrically opposed to one another. We'll let them argue over something and it'll be perfect. And it's a no-brainer. And you never find anything out. You never learn anything new. And it's sad. And then the other side of stuff is I look at the news media and I look at the way it is. And people ask me every day, they say, where do you get your stuff from? I said, man, you have to research because you go to Breitbart, they're going to give you half a story. You go to Huffington Post, they're going to give you half a story. If you put it together, you might have a whole story. But it's still so tough nowadays. How do you deal with that in a world where, you're not a fan of the president, you probably lean a little bit left. But the fact is, right, you're a journalist, and we've lost that kind of thing where we're, who, what, when, how, and why. It's now all about opinion, and I can skew it any way I want to go, and that doesn't do us any good. No, it really doesn't. And you've really identified the core problem, which is that most people don't consume the entire news landscape. People who tend to read Breitbart, they're not going to be reading, they're not going to be watching MSNBC. They're not going to be, or reading the New York Times. And people who, conversely, who get their news on the other side, they're not going to be reading the Daily Caller or the Washington Times or whatever it is. So nobody's getting the whole picture of everything that's reported. And that's really a bad thing because everybody's opinion just gets reinforced. You tend to be dug in your opinions. You become psychologically incapable of accepting facts that contradict your worldview. And that's all, part of that is on us. But I don't know what the solution to that is because it's very, very hard to penetrate that business model right now, and nobody's really doing that news for everybody.
No, and there's a thing there. You know, we've started something called Politipop, and that's what we do. We just give you all the articles of everything. We try to put it all together because I think that's what people want. Because I think people do. I think there are people that are curious out there that do want to know the truth, Matt. But I think that it's getting tougher and tougher to find it, and some people just abandon it, and that's not good. We're talking to Rolling Stone columnist Matt Taibbi. He's got a new book called Hate Inc. How and Why the Press Make Us Hate One Another. You follow these things. You're putting the stuff together. You're serializing this as it heads out. We're looking towards 2020, and this is your wheelhouse. This is what you do as you head into 2020. As we all head into this, looking at this, it's going to get uglier. It's going to get more fake newsy, as some people call it. How are you prepared to deal with that in a situation where you're going to be out there probably covering this thing from top to bottom?
Yeah, no, I'm going to be out there on the campaign trail again. This is going to be my 5th campaign that I'm going to cover for the magazine, and yeah, I admit it's going to be difficult because unlike almost every past campaign in history, it's become very, very hard for even the most like the people who are in the trenches doing the just the facts man version of the news. Even they feel an obligation to take some kind of editorial position on a character like Donald Trump. And, the old school kind of reporting where you're not putting your own opinion out there, it just doesn't really exist anymore. And so it's tough to do. I don't really know how I'm going to approach it this time. I think there are a lot of things that are interesting to say about all the candidates. And even when I covered Trump last time, I thought one of the things that a lot of reporters missed was that he was tapping into real frustrations, and some of the things that he was saying were legitimately true, and there were real criticisms about the system and how it didn't work, and that's why he was succeeding. But to say that is taboo in some corners of the media, and as a result, when he got elected, people were surprised, and I think that we did a disservice to the public in ignoring that.
You talk about the media business, and I think we're desensitized to anybody who's got a kind of real common sense, just, hey, you know what, I'm going to give both sides of the opinion. I'll throw my opinion out there, but I'm not a flamethrower. And with the way the media has changed, because of social media, because the newspaper industry isn't what it once was, and media in itself isn't, do you feel like you almost have to get to the point where you're no longer just a reporter, but in reality you are more of an opinion kind of person and say stuff? Otherwise, you may not work in this business for very long, and you sure in the hell won't be successful.
Well, certainly no reporter is able really to be, strictly a deliverer of facts anymore. Whether we like it or not, pretty much all of us are, on some level or another, we're op-ed people, because even when we're not writing articles in newspapers or magazines, almost everybody has a social media presence, so they're constantly tweeting, and you get a sense of their personality, their point of view. They're constantly telling you what they think about things. So there's no, that idea of a reporter whose inner thoughts and opinions are a mystery to you, which I think is actually a good model for at least part of the media. That's kind of disappeared. My father was a reporter when I was growing up, and it was normal for audiences to not really know what was going on in the head of a reporter. That doesn't really happen anymore. Now all you have to do is look on Twitter, and I think that's kind of a problem.
Absolutely crazy. Rolling Stone journalist, award-winning, and, of course, an author, Hate Inc., How and Why the Press Make Us Hate One Another. If people want to go check this out, how do they get a hold of it?
You can look at it at taibbi.substack.com, and it's going to be out in OR books starting early next year. Fantastic, man. Appreciate you coming on. Hope we get you on again, especially when you get out there on the campaign trail. Absolutely. Look forward to it, Chad. Thanks so much. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. We talk about it. Hey, it's a big business. Don't kill the golden goose, right? Like, the formula's working. Why would you kill the golden goose? And if hate and division are what drives people, and that's why people turn in. I mean, we turn into sporting events. Why? Because you got two teams that oppose each other. If they just walked around hanging out with each other and nothing was happening, we wouldn't watch the sporting event. It'd be more like a cocktail party. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say what? Down the Zambezi River in Zimbabwe, the tour company says a hippo capsized the Florida couple's canoe, sending them overboard. As Kristen Yaldor was swimming to shore, she was attacked and pulled underwater. Her family says the hippo dragged Kristen, its jaws snapping down on her leg and breaking her femur before she could escape.
Yeah, hippos, bad news. Don't mess with them. Especially a certain time of year when it's calving seasons, meaning they have calves everywhere. Their little babies are everywhere. And for those of you guys who don't understand, I always joke about like stuff like this, and as we all know, nature will mess you up, and it will mess you up, and this is one of those things. We are on the food chain the highest when we have all of the stuff. But when it is one-on-one, the hippo is the thing that all animals in Africa, minus the mosquito, fear.
Hippos are vegetarians, but highly territorial. They can weigh up to 8,000 pounds, run 30 miles per hour, and bite with the crushing force of 1 ton. They are the deadliest large land mammal in the world, killing about 500 people per year in Africa.
So, and that 500 is probably closer to 1,500 plus, because you've got to understand, not everybody gets accounted for there. It's not like here, right? It's not. Sometimes you go down and you're down at the river and you don't come back, and they're like, whoop. So-and-so didn't come back. We're just going to move on with our life. But her and her husband, they were being chased. There was a calf nearby. They flipped the boat over. He was swimming to shore, thought she was right behind him, and being a solid individual, he swam faster and got to shore, and he's like, oh, my God, I'm single. Chad, you're such a jerk. She had just a ferocious bite in her leg. She's had 2 surgeries already, and she's in South Africa, and it is just ugly. I mean, ugly. YouTube, rather popular.
Laurel.
There was a lot going on YouTube this year. The Yanni Laurel debate ended up number 5 on YouTube's top 10 videos of 2018. Mason Ramsey, the kid who took his yodeling from the aisles of an Illinois Walmart to national fame, was number 4. Number 3 was David and Liza, who broke up.
It wasn't healthy for us to continue to be together. For now.
Real Life Trick Shots was number 2. And the number 1 video on YouTube in 2018 was Kylie Jenner's video love letter to her daughter.
This is how I found out about you.
In all, there were 673 million views among the top 10, 40 million more than last year.
That is a lot of views. And you never know what goes viral. You never know why it goes viral. It just goes viral. If you could figure out, if you could master why something goes viral, why does a lady in the middle of the country or wherever sit down in her car, put on a Chewbacca mask, and have millions upon millions of views like that? Don't know why. Don't know. There's just something about something that gets shared once, then twice, and people start to laugh, and then people start saying, did you see that? Did you hear that? And next thing you know, it takes off, and then there's hundreds of millions, and for some, billions upon billions upon billions of views.
It's the color of an underwater reef, the sky at dusk, not to mention some of the newest iPhones and the latest looks from top fashion designers. The Pantone Color Institute has chosen Living Coral as its 2019 color of the year. The company describes it as much a feeling as it is a shade, warm and welcoming, but versatile and life-affirming, with a softer edge than, say, its pastel and neon color cousins. In other words, this isn't your grandmother's coral. Daria Albinger, ABC News.
So it is life-affirming. I have never in my life seen a color that is life-affirming at all. I'm wearing gray and black. Maybe that's my life-affirming situation. Wah, wah. That's Eeyore's color, isn't it? 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Check out thechadshow.com. Go to Politipop. Check out all the news and views of the world from all sides of the aisle, and grab the podcast, TuneIn Radio app, and wherever good podcasts are available. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thought and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Mueller's not involved in a investigation. Mueller has a Trump destruction project. He brought on a team, all of them dedicated to destroying Trump. They've done everything they could to destroy Trump. And part of that technique is you throw the kitchen sink.
Wow, that's weird. What if you really threw a kitchen sink at somebody? People are like, what's wrong with you? Well, they said to throw the kitchen sink at you. I mean, Peter, if you're trying to change everything, why not we just change all the language? Right? No more baby out with the bathwater. None of that stuff. That's Newt Gingrich right there. Contract with America. And, the left and right are going to fight over this all the time. How many of you are interested in just, look, I just want to see the Cliff Notes version. I'll make up my own mind. I don't need Fox or MSNBC or Mika or Hannity or any of them telling me what I think I should see. I just kind of want to see and get to the bottom of this and get the hell out of here. Because outside of this, you listen to Gingrich and it's one of those things where, well, I mean, you listen to him and you're like, I could see a case for that. It feels like that this investigation has kind of gone wonky and it feels like they're going to do anything to try and get Trump. But there's some questions out there that are fair to ask. And the question I've been telling everybody from top to bottom, I've been asking everybody from top to bottom, who do you think is going to be in real trouble? Because my answer is, I think it's Don Jr.
The president himself should be extremely uncomfortable about this, not for his son or son-in-law as much as for himself.
So do you think that any of Trump's inner circle's now going to get indicted?
Yes. I don't know who, but I do know that Donald Jr. has told friends he expects to be indicted.
Do you expect he'd be indicted?
Yes.
And what about Jared Kushner?
I don't know about Jared Kushner. I think Jerry Corsi's going to be indicted. I don't know about Roger Stone. I mean, Corsi's been advertising his indictment all over the place.
He's been basically begging for an indictment.
Right.
Yes, he is, because it makes him, I don't know, like a part of something. And, again, ancillary characters that really, people in the political wonky world know who they are. But when you listen to that, that's Judge Napolitano, and he's saying, I think I've always thought his kid was going to be the one that was going to be in trouble. They really can't trace anything that is impeachment worthy. Doesn't mean that they won't try it. They really can't trace anything that's super bad that's going to destroy everything back to the Donald himself. But Don Jr., I think he got himself in over his head because he was trying to help Pops, and he thought that maybe he can get himself some stuff, and some people played him in a way that probably he didn't even know he was getting played. And then what ends up happening? You start covering it up. Right? You lie. You start covering things up. That's the inherent thing is, you get into a situation where you're scared and this could cause something and I could cause a ruckus and oh my God, and my dad and the presidency and everything. And you say some stuff that maybe you shouldn't say, hoping that everybody's whatever's going on lines up. And next thing you know, you've got yourself in a cover up and that ends up biting you in the ass.
You basically threaten somebody and say, I'm going to bankrupt you. I'm going to put your son in jail. I'm going to charge you with so many different crimes. You'll never get out from under it. Now, would you like to talk? And when you have the full power of the federal government against you, it's pretty tough not to try to find a way to get them off your back.
Yeah. And that's a lot of what goes on. A lot of what goes on. And let me tell you something. It's not just like the federal government. Big business does this a lot, too. The way it's an act of attrition. I've got more money and I can stay the course forever and I can continue to come after you. I will get you to the point where you can no longer go on. Here's a perfect case in point. Lance Armstrong never got caught with anything. Fought it tooth and nail until finally they came to the point where they were going to bankrupt him in court. They were going to do it to the point where he finally just gave in. We all know he did something. Everybody knows because they all did it. That's what racing is. But he realized, I'm going to lose everything. It's going to all go away. I'm not going to have a penny left. I'm going to be destitute if I continue to go this way. I can't afford to do it anymore. And he did the same thing to other people who would come out and say things. He would just sue them to the point where they knew it was just easier to back away, apologize, or give them a little bit of money or whatever they had to do because they couldn't afford it. And when you've got money that is unlimited, you come strong and you can come long. And eventually you're going to outspend the other person and they're screwed.
but it has nothing to do with the truth. It has nothing to do with justice. And Mueller, I think, in a really sad, historians someday will comment that this was one of the most extraordinary efforts to undo the will of the American people by an established bureaucracy and its establishment friends that we've seen in all of American history.
And it may look like that down the line. Right now, you've got to look at what it looks like outside of there. And if you look at also just the president's approval ratings and disapproval ratings and things like that, but you also look at Mueller's, because they take a gauge on that. People are bored with it. They're tired with it. They want either some answers or get out the way because this has gone on too long. His approval ratings are down in the dumps too because people are looking at him saying it feels like you veered from the path. Like what you went there for and what you ended up doing are two separate things. And I think that's something that people are going to be looking at going forward. I just want the Cliff Notes version. And I think that's all we're going to get. I don't think we will know everything, but I think it's coming sooner rather than later. And I do think Don Jr. is going to be one that potentially faces an indictment.
The route very familiar to Houstonians who will be lining that route to pay their respects to the hearse as it passes by on its way to Spring, Texas. And then, of course, George H.W. Bush's casket will be loaded onto a locomotive that has been painted the color of his Air Force One with the number 4141. And he will make that trek along with members of his family for that 2.5-hour ride, about 70 miles in College Station, Texas, to his final resting place.
Yeah, the train thing was really neat, and the way that it hasn't been done, and that train's been around since I think 2007. It's been named after him, and it's Bush 41, and just seeing it in the curtains and all of the stuff as you could see it go by, and going to the final resting spot in Texas A&M. Just a very moving day, and the tribute over the last few days and that have been pouring in. It's just been very interesting to watch the way that this has been handled. And yesterday I said, look, Bush and the Trumps, they're not fans of each other. And that's the reality of that. What he did to Jeb Bush, Trump, and the way he destroyed him. They weren't huge fans of that. He has said some harsh things, but I think Trump overall has stepped aside and done something which I know just drives him crazy, which has had to leave his ego there. But watching the media take on Trump and asking questions like, what's it going to be like when he's gone? What's it going to be like? Is it going to be just like this at all? Is it going to be, that to me has been like really weird. It's like, this shouldn't be about him. But we love anger and fighting and all of that stuff. So of course you're going to make it about him, right? Like, of course you are, because Trump is still the most interesting person in the room, no matter the fact that the person that is passed away led one of the most interesting lives in the history of interesting lives. I'm like, that is a book. Think about that for a second. If you're going to write a screenplay about anybody, a guy that was shot down in World War II, a guy who married his wife and was with her to her dying day for 73 years, who came up through the ranks and ended up taking over the CIA, did all of these things, eventually became vice president for 8 years and then president, and the things he went into. Like, that is a movie waiting to happen. Absolutely it is. But Trump's still more interesting, especially when it comes to the media, because he evokes an emotion. He does. He evokes an emotion. Absolutely 110%. There's an emotion there, and it's either angry or people that stand by. I see it on Facebook every day. You even say something somewhat negative or tell the truth that they feel is negative. They come out, right? The trolls and the sycophants come out and they attack you. And it's crazy, but there's an emotion there. There is absolutely an emotion there. Somebody I think that's coming out of this, if you will, looking good, if you could say that, is, and time is always going to tell presidencies. You've got to let whatever they do, right? Their bills, the legislation they push, signed and put out there, all of these things that has happened, that they've been a part of, and the way that they've have taken on the world, it takes time. It absolutely takes time. And I think the thing that people are starting to realize, they're looking at W in a much different life, because HW had the highest approval rating of presidents that are alive. and his negative rating was lowest. So in between of the positive and negative was the biggest of any of the presidents that are out there. But you've heard nothing but kudos and a lot of praise for W.
When the history books are written, they will say that George H.W. Bush was a great president of the United States, a diplomat of unmatched skill, a commander-in-chief of formidable accomplishment, and a gentleman who executed the duties of his office with dignity and honor.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And W has handled himself well, as has the whole family. And it's just been I think what they're doing and the way that they've done it it's just been nothing but class. And remember, we're not like the royals. We don't have these kind of things. You know, the royals, like being in England and the Queen Mom dying and Princess Diana, you see something that is massive and the way that they've done it. But this is what we've got. And I think the way that they've done it has been upstanding. And when I did give kudos, and a lot of people hammered me for it when I said I think Trump he's kept quiet and he's not let it be about him, even though some of the media is turning it into him. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Holiday party tonight. What are the do's and don'ts? Some people are saying don't go, don't dance. Somebody tweeted in, don't dance. I can dance. And several people are like, don't overdrink. I don't drink, so I have to worry about that. And a couple of people say, don't be that guy that they're talking about tomorrow, right? Somebody's always that guy or that girl. And you're like, oh, what are your do's and don'ts if you're going to a holiday or Christmas party? Losing sleep. Finding the perfect gift is something you don't have to worry about losing sleep over, because MyPillow is going to help you with that. You know you've got friends. You've got family. Maybe it's yourself, your wife, your husband, whatever it is, who they struggle at night sleeping. And they've talked about that over and over again. Give them a good night's sleep, because not only will it be something they get one time, it'll be something they get all the time. Thanks to MyPillow, you can do that now. This is the ultimate stocking stuffer they will this year. Check this out. 100% machine washable and dryable, made in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. And this is what I love about MyPillow. They're doing something great for the holiday season. 4 pillows for a limited time. You're going to get 2 premium pillows, 2 go anywhere pillows for half the price. So think about that. 4 pillows, half the price, 2 premium, right? 2 go anywhere pillows, free shipping, and money back guarantee until March 1st, 2019. Not going to find a deal anywhere else like this. Call 800-983-4975 or go to mypillow.com. When you do, use promo code Benson. That's mypillow.com. Promo code Benson, 800-983-4975. 2 premium, 2 go anywhere, money back guarantee till March 1st, 2019. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. At Chad Benson Shows, your Twitter, ChadBenson. What advice do you have for me in the holiday party? Because we know how these things can get. A few drinks in people, loose lips, sink ships. Next thing you know, I could tell my boss anything. Let me tell you what are the do's and don'ts? It's the Chad Benson Show.
Deep states? No. Deep doo-doo? Yeah. The Chad Benson Show.
A massive shocker on the TV side.
Is this what freedom looks like?
Hulu's The Handmaid's Tale, which won Best Drama at the Globes earlier this year, as well as the Emmys, not nominated for Best Drama this time around. Also absent, NBC's This Is Us, after star Sterling K. Brown was the most recent Golden Globe winner for Best Drama Actor. Both of those absences in the Best Drama category made room for the critically acclaimed but little buzzed about Netflix series Bodyguard and FX's Pose. And the critically acclaimed FX series Atlanta didn't get a Best Comedy nomination, while there was a surprising amount of love for Jim Carrey's dark comedy Kidding and Netflix's The Kaminsky Method.
Yeah, I've seen none of those, so I'm proud to say that once again I've gone another year without seeing any one of those. I flipped through one day and saw that Pose, and I thought, well, this is stupid, and I just kept going. It's as good as it. I don't know. I'm just not a TV guy. You know what's funny? I'm flying yesterday. A guy sitting next to me starts laughing because he's a little bit older than me. And, everybody's got their Netflix out or whatever it is on the plane. They've downloaded their things. And they're all watching. And, you can see around there what everybody's watching. No, I wasn't watching an adult film, if that's what you're asking. There's a time and a place for everything. I only do that at Starbucks. So as I'm watching it, he starts laughing because I'm watching Kung Fu with David Carradine, Kwai Chang Caine, and which total cultural appropriation, but I like it, so we're going to get over it. And he's like, I didn't think anybody watched those shows anymore. I'm like, dude, MeTV was made for me, right? That's all I live for. Like, this is it. But I've just never been one The Handmaid's Tale, never seen it, don't know anything about it, right? I just don't watch stuff like that. And I always feel like I'm out of the loop. Like, am I in the loop? Is there a loop that I should be in? Like Broad City? I see this. Oh, it's the final season of Broad City. And I know that people rave it, like Orange is the New Black and all. And I just feel like you're telling me to watch something that everybody else says is hip and cool. And then when I do watch it, most of the time I'm like, this kind of sucks. Like, I watched Stranger Things and I thought, I like the nostalgia of the 80s. Outside of that, you're trying too hard. You are. Speaking of stuff that's hip and cool, we got the word of the year. How about the color?
It's the color of an underwater reef, the sky at dusk. Not to mention some of the newest iPhones and the latest looks from top fashion designers. The Pantone Color Institute has chosen Living Coral as its 2019 color of the year. The company describes it as much a feeling as it is a shade, warm and welcoming, but versatile and life-affirming, with a softer edge than, say, its pastel and neon color cousins. In other words, this isn't your grandmother's coral.
I have no idea. Like, that seems like a lot. That seems like you're looking at wine. You know what? I'm looking at this color, and it's really affirming to me. You really think about stuff like that. You think somebody's just walking around like, we got to come up with dude, you've been tasked with coming up with the color of the year. And you just go right into one of those wine review things. You're like, oh, okay, here we go. Affirming, sensible, caring. Really? You think that? I don't know, dude. It's coral. It's turquoise. Just get over it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Ask the question today, what are the do's and don'ts at holiday parties anymore? I haven't been to a holiday party in forever, and I'm going to 2 this week. I've already been to one. I'm going to another one tonight. It's a work thing, one of the stations, and I'm thinking to myself, this is going to be very interesting because my holiday party last year was Winston and I. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thought and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
In his inaugural address, the 41st President of the United States said this: "We cannot hope only to leave our children a bigger car, a bigger bank account. We must hope to give them a sense of what it means to be a loyal friend, a loving parent, a citizen who leaves his home, his neighborhood, and town better than he found it."
Yep. As they lay Bush to rest today at Texas A&M College Station, watching the train, all of the stuff, the way that they did this, and I just thought it was well done, and it gets you thinking though. Like, how do you want to be remembered? Yeah. And that's like the last 4 or 5 days. It's just been, how will Trump be remembered? I don't know. Be interesting. What, if the president's not going to show up? Although it was funny yesterday watching him sit there because he looked like he was ready to, I'm over this. I want to go. Like, I'm done. And like, he was going to look down at his watch. Like, he had somewhere else to be. And I'm the leader of the free world. I got things going on. I got stuff to do. I'm not, you know how hard it is for me not to tweet? I just want to tweet the hell out of something. I can't tweet the hell. I want to tweet. But if you want to see death, Hillary Clinton's death stare at him. Oh my goodness me. That was interesting. They were like, It was, and there's a reason that Melania sat in between her. You sit on the outside. I'm going to sit in between. I don't want to be here, but you got to be here. You got to be quiet, Donald, and you got to pay your respects. All right? Now pull up your pants. We're going places. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your tweeter. Remember this whole thing with the caravan and all of this stuff happening, what was going on and all of these things? Remember that? And then Trump came out, long for we're going to end birthright citizenship. Well, guess what? We've got our first case of what we're going to do now.
Apparently, a 19-year-old pregnant woman from Honduras by the name of Mary Uri Hernandez was arrested after she entered Imperial Beach, California. She apparently climbed over the border wall from Tijuana. As soon as she was down on the ground in American soil, she was arrested. A couple of days later, apparently, she gave birth to an American citizen, and she said that her goal was to join her family in Columbus, Ohio, and giving birth on U.S. soil was a big reward for the long journey in the caravan.
Yeah, that doesn't help right there when you say something like that. Now, I know it's only one person, but we have to realize all of the other things that have happened along the way. And this is some of the stuff that people are talking about. You come here. It doesn't matter if you're from Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, Mexico, Russia, England, Germany, China, wherever you come from. That's the frustration that people have here. That's the frustration I have. Now, if you were here legally, so let's just say you got a green card, right? You're on a visa, you got a year or 2-year contract with a company, and you're over here, and you're working, and you're a resident, and you have a child. I have no problem with that child getting citizenship because you're here legally. The illegal part is something I think we should take a look at. I think it absolutely needs to be addressed. And saying that it's not something that should be addressed, and that even talking about it is xenophobic and racist, is a bunch of absolute crap. That's a turd sandwich for you right there. If the goal is to have a child here, so then that child can sponsor and bring other people here and essentially give you a potential at a much better life, that's no, that should not be the reward. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. And I don't care who it is. You're just afraid of people of color. The Russians, the English, the French, Germans, Dutch. No. It's just about saying to ourselves, when do we say enough is enough? Nothing wrong with that. Today I posted on Twitter that the new president of Mexico, Obrador, is talking about, you know what, we need to have a freer work visa thing I've been talking about a lot. Letting people come over here and work in a much easier manner, or going to Canada, Mexico, wherever it is, to help people through Central America. I've got no problem with that. I think that's fine. We should look at ways to make it easier to come here, especially on a temporary basis, but also hold them accountable if they don't leave, take away their visa when we catch them, export them immediately. You're out. You're deported. Boom. Back to your country. Period. Case closed. And you can't get another visa. I got no problem with that. We should look at ways to doing this. But this feels like you've said this is why you came here.
That is the anchor baby problem, and President Trump has been right about this. He diagnosed automatic birthright citizenship as one of the biggest magnets and incentives to come here and break the law, and he's been asking Congress to do something about it. You can build 50-foot, 100-foot walls all along the 2,000 miles of the southern border, but if you don't turn off these magnets, it's going to result in a continued flow, and we're going to see these caravans over and over and over again.
Yeah. But it's wrong. It's not wrong. It shouldn't be rewarded. If you're here and you're legally in the country, you've done everything right. You're here legally in the country, and you're working, and you're busting your butt, and you're paying your taxes, and you may not be a citizen, but you're a resident, and you're working here in the country, and your wife or yourself, you have a child here. I got zero problems with that. So it has nothing to do. It has to do with the legality of you coming here specifically for that, knowing what it means. Because don't say, people say anchor baby's wrong and it's racist. Don't tell me that people don't shoot for this. This is, yes, absolutely, because they know what comes with it and the opportunities.
It is time to rethink automatic birthright citizenship. It's an anomaly around the world. There are only 30 nations that have it. And among advanced industrial nations, there are only 2, the U.S. and Canada.
Yeah, the U.S. and Canada. That's it, 2. 2. No, 2. Not 10, not 20, not 30, not all of them. 2. Us and our top hat. That's it. Oh, Chad, why you do that, eh? It's not very nice. Oh, no, it's not nice at all, eh? That's not nice at all. It's frustrating. I think we need to figure out a way to stop this. And there's nothing wrong with asking the question. Nothing wrong. I think it's a fair question to ask. It really is. But you can't ask it anymore because if you ask it, you're racist. I mean, this coming from a nation right now that is getting rid of baby, it's cold outside because we deem it in this day and age. Somebody says, because I said this is ridiculous yesterday, and they tweeted at me, Chad, you should listen to the song. It's a bit rapey. I'm like, get over it. It's a song. It's funny. I saw Elf last night. I turned it off immediately. Told the kids, get out of the room quick. Everybody hide. You cannot see this. You cannot see this. This, first of all, is a guy who is identifying as an elf. Secondly, he's a peeping Tom, voyeuristic scumbag, and he's singing Baby It's Cold Outside to top that off. That's just, my goodness. I want that thing off TV now. So, yeah, no wonder we can't talk about anything in this country. It's ridiculous. At some point, isn't it fair that we can look over at somebody on the Democratic side and say, maybe we should rethink this, if you're here legally, you've done it right. You don't even have to be a citizen, but you're a resident of this country. You have a kid here. Then I don't have a problem with that. But if you're just coming here and your specific goal is to just cross the finish line and then have a baby, knowing full well what that is going to bring, the opportunity to sponsor family members and bring them here, and that child's going to be able to have benefits across the board that are going to benefit everybody. That's something that is not a win-win for taxpayers, for citizens, and for people who've done this correctly. It's not a horrible question to ask. They would say it's a horrible question, but it's not. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. YouTube. We talked about YouTube yesterday. The kids are making all the money on YouTube, $22 million. They got lots of videos on the YouTube.
Laurel. There was a lot going on YouTube this year. The Yanni Laurel debate ended up number 5 on YouTube's top 10 videos of 2018. Mason Ramsey, the kid who took his yodeling from the aisles of an Illinois Walmart to national fame, was number 4. Number 3 was David and Liza, who broke up.
It wasn't healthy for us to continue to be together. For now.
Real Life Trick Shots was number 2, and the number 1 video on YouTube in 2018 was Kylie Jenner's video love letter to her daughter.
This is how I found out about you.
In all, there were 673 million views among the top 10, 40 million more than last year.
That's a lot of views. Some of that stuff's just, you go on there and you're like, there's 500 million views? And then there's some that are in the billions. You're like, my God, that is insane. Jack is like, my son will watch the hell out of some YouTube. He loves the trick shot guys. I don't know if you've seen the trick shot guys. It's pretty cool, but he will watch the hell out of some of that stuff to the point where you're like, wow. And this is hey, I got Nerf guns and I got a Nerf fort, and you're looking down and you're like, you have 33 million views of you shooting Nerf guns? Are you kidding me? That's insane. It is insane. And I think this week, what's her name? Ariana Grande. She released a video. It wasn't Baby It's Cold Outside, everybody okay. But it went, it had some ungodly amount overnight. That is just, And you never know what's going to go viral. That's the thing. Like, because if you could market it and figure it out, you're golden. But you just never know what's going to go viral. Never. We're trying. But it's just that something, it's a woman sitting in her car putting on a Chewbacca mask. Next thing you know, she's got hundreds of millions of views, and you don't know why. Nobody does. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Your Twitter, tweet at us. When it comes to going viral, This company right here should be going viral. In fact, I've got a video of me opening up the box and looking at all of the quality meat. I'll put that on the interwebs for you soon. Butcher Box, incredible. Let me tell you what Butcher Box is. So you like meat, you like quality meat, and you say you like it shipped to your door, but you haven't found a company that is amazing? I've got one for you. Butcher Box. Butcher Box. Right to your door. No antibiotics, no hormones, humanely raised, grass-fed, grass-finished, free-ranging chickens. They're free-ranging everywhere. They're free-ranging the hell out of it. Organic. They're a little hippie-ish, a little patchouli on them. And, of course, their pork is extra porky. You're going to love it. Now, you're not going to find these cuts anywhere. Less than, get ready for this, $6 a meal. Boom! Month's worth of meat, less than $6 a meal. What are you waiting for? Now, for my listeners right now, they got a deal that is a steal. Go to butcherbox.com/Chad. You're going to get $40 off. $20 off your first box, $20 off your second box, and to sweeten the deal, some bacon. Bacon sweetens every deal. Butcher Box. Throwing in some free bacon, giving you $40 off. Go to butcherbox.com/Chad. Butcherbox.com/Chad. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Do's and don'ts. Some people are texting in of holiday parties. What are the do's and don'ts of the holiday party? Like, what's the number one thing that you're like, you can't do that? Text us, 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Got your useless info straight ahead of the day. Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
The end depends on the beginning. And this is a good ending. Because from the very beginning, George Bush was committed to a life not for himself, but for others.
Yeah. As he was laid to rest, and the train ride, all of the stuff, the way that it was done was just, I thought, just very classy, and just a classy man. And we're on with the fighting, right? Because now that we've had some unity for a whopping 72 plus hours, now it's back to the fighting, the poking, the eye gouging, the screaming, the yelling, and back to business as normal in the world of politics. So it'll be funny to see if we're going to come back with a kinder, gentler kind of look at politics, or is it just going to be knockout, drag out, ninja fights across the board?
She's mad because I know today's her laundry day, and that means she's wearing her old lady underpants.
I can check that for you.
I just can't believe that you think that you and Chandler know me and Rachel better than we know you.
Well, we do. You can only eat Tic Tacs and even numbers.
Yeah, what's that about?
And you, Ross, I believe if you check Rachel's bag, you will find a half-eaten box of cookies in there.
You're good.
Yeah, Friends. Well, Friends is getting friendly. Netflix, get ready for this. Paying $100 million because people freaked out. Netflix announced that it was coming off their service at the end of the month. People flipped and they didn't know what to do. So they went out and they're saying it's somewhere between $80 and $100 million plus is what they're paying for it. And that is going to keep them there for really only another year or so. Because now what you've got is the battle of the subscription services. So cable is going to be leaving in many ways as people cut the cord left, right, and center. But you're going to have to spend more money if you want to get a lot of these things, because a lot of the companies are going to be coming out next year. You got Apple, Warner Media, Disney, all going to go direct consumer. So Disney's pulling all of their stuff. Yes, we are. We're going to have our own thing right off of Netflix. So if you want Disney stuff, you got to get it to Disney. Well, next thing you know, that $7.99, $11.99, $12.99, $14.99, at the end of the day, it ends up adding up to what? $100, $150. Now, you can watch it when you want, which is the bonus of that. But if you start going, well, I like Disney stuff, and then if you're going to pull this show off, this is a show I really like. And people, let me tell you something. Seinfeld. None of you guys saw. Hulu got Seinfeld. They paid $180 million to get Seinfeld in 2014. So there's still huge money in these services as far as if you have the house, if you got this, and you're the house owner in this, right? You can go out there and say, who wants to rent some of my house? You want some of it? Great. You want some of it. And then people are like, screw that. Let's build something bigger. We'll build our own land, and we'll charge people to come into our land rather than rent it out piece by piece, sublet it elsewhere. It's crazy, the money. It is crazy. So that's why Netflix and Hulu and all these services are doing so much of their own programming, because they know there's stuff they're always going to be able to get. But as more and more of these companies go independent this way, they're going to find it tougher to land some of these older shows that people like, as some people call it comfort food for watching. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. I love hearing from you. I want the do's and don'ts of things that you should and shouldn't do. Dancing on the table, producer Phil, a few years ago, is probably a no-no. Getting uber drunk is definitely a no-no. And, of course, in the Me Too era, you got to watch what you say tonight, even in jest, because people are hunting and looking for a reason, make an extra few bucks. And I hope they don't play Baby It's Cold Outside tonight, even though it will be a little chilly and we will be outside. Follow along always across all social media mediums. Here's your useless fact of the day. Russia, largest country in the world. Number 2, Canada. Not by people, but by size. Apparently size does matter. Have a good rest of your day. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.